Good evening, everyone, to our Rest Center's My Natural Curls workshop. This is an event to celebrate the International Women's Month. Tonight, we have Miss Brigitte Brown of Limitless Hair Salon, who has been in business ever since 2018. She has 19 years of experience as a hairstylist, and she's graduated in Marca College. Her salon is currently in Mississauga near the Square One Mall area. And yeah, tonight she's gonna be educating us about natural hair care. Miss Brigitte.
Hello, everyone. How's everyone doing?
Good. Excited.
Good. So I'm just going to share with you guys my knowledge of natural hair care. And yeah, so we can get started. So I'm going to talk to you guys a little bit. I'm going to touch base a little bit about the history. I'm going to talk about the different hair types that we have. I'm going to talk about the different textures we have. I'm also going to talk about how to properly clean your hair and when you should be cleaning it. I'm going to talk about the types of oils. I'm going to talk about protective styling. I'm going to talk about also the benefits of protective styling. I'm going to also touch base a little bit about product knowledge, porosity on your hair, and there's some opportunities for those that are interested that we could talk about at the end of the presentation.
Okay, so I'm just going to share my screen and we're going to follow along with the presentation. Do you guys see my screen?
Yep.
Yes, we can.
Okay.
Okay, so let's get right into it. Your hair is your crown, adjust accordingly. So this is something I like to tell a lot of my clients. Your hair is your crown. However you wear your hair is how people are gonna look at you. And normally my hair is never combed, but we're not gonna talk about that. So moving on. So I have a little quote here from Miss Ellis Ross, Tracy Ellis Ross. And she says, "I love my hair because it's a reflection of my soul. It's dense, it's kinky, it's soft, it's textured, it's difficult, it's easy, and it's fun. That's why I love my hair." And being a young Black girl, I'm pretty sure we can all relate to this quote. A lot of us have trouble managing our hair, but then at the same time, there's so many things that you can do with your hair. So it becomes fun, but it becomes very frustrating at times when certain styles you want to achieve, you can't achieve it because of your hair texture. But we're going to talk about that and how you can work with your type of texture to achieve whatever style you want to achieve. So again, going back into what to expect from this, we're gonna touch base on the history, hair types, hair texture, shampooing, oils, protective styling, products, the porosity in your hair, and some opportunities. So the first thing I want to talk about is the struggle that Black women had to go through before the 1960s. And we weren't really allowed to wear our hair the way we're allowed to wear it now. So back then, our hair had to be pressed out and neatly pulled back. And it was more so to please the European lifestyle. So it wasn't until the civil rights movement that had happened that a lot of us started to wear our afros and, did the signs and everything. So it was after the civil rights movement, that's where we decided to start wearing our hair more natural and started to fight for our rights when it came to the Black women's hair. And I'm sure everybody's heard of Madam C.J. Walker. She was one of the first Black millionaire women. And she started coming up with hair products that were able to help the Black women because, again, back then they weren't catering to our hair. So she decided, you know what? We need something that's going to work for our hair too. They want us to look a certain way, but there's nothing there for us to help us achieve that look. So in the 1900s, she came up with the Black hair product for us to work with. And these are the 4 hair types that I wanted to talk about. You have straight, wavy, curly, and tightly curled hair. And amongst the 4 types of hair that we have, there's 3 subtypes. So it goes A, B, and C. Now, You have 1A, which is straight as straight can be. Even when it's wet, it's straight. As it's air drying, it's straight. As it blow dries, it's straight. And then you have 1B, where it's a little wave to it, but not much. So 1 to about, I'd say 2B is a little bit of a straight with a little wave. From 2B going, you have the different types of curliness. So 2C is where you get, it's still not curled yet, but it's getting there. 3A is where you start to get the nice curls, the ringlet curls. And 4C is known as the tightest curl pattern that anybody has. Some people would like to call it 4Z because it's more like it's hard to tell the curl pattern. It's more like a zigzag kind of. It's really tight. But when you stretch it, it stretches out extremely, extremely long. And after types, we're going to talk about the textures. Textures and types are two different ones, and I want everybody to understand that, because some people will say, "Oh, my texture's so tight." Texture, you can have a certain texture and still have straight hair. So our texture is you have 3 textures. You have fine hair, medium hair, and then you have coarse hair for textures. Sorry, Alyssa, do you mind switching slides, Eliza? Sorry. So again, so you have fine hair, coarse hair, and medium hair as your 3 textures. And you can have coarse hair and also have 1A type hair. You just have straight hair that's coarse. Fine hair is most fragile. It's weak. It breaks easily. And when you're flat ironing it, that's the one that you can't have it on a high heat, because like your hair will definitely damage. And then where you have medium, that's where you have a full head of hair. It's not so hard to manage, and it pretty much works well when you're trying to do any type of hairstyle. Coarse hair, it takes a longer time to dry because it's thicker, and some people might think they might consider it being rough, but it's not. I don't like the term rough when it comes to hair. So coarse hair is just thick. You can, again, like I said, you can have coarse hair and have 1A hair. And same thing with fine hair. You can have fine hair and have 4C fine hair. So everybody's hair is different when it comes to texture and types. So moving on to cleaning our hair. Okay, so cleaning. So I always get this question in the salon is, how often should I be shampooing my hair? Again, so with shampooing your hair, it really depends on your, I'd say, weekly routine. If you're someone that's active, you play sports, and like, I'd say maybe like 3 to 5 times out of the week, you're constantly sweating because you're an active person, I would say to maybe wash your hair minimum two times a week. But it's actually ideal to wash your hair once a week. Shampooing is mainly for your scalp, where conditioning is for your hair. So shampooing helps to remove buildup. It removes all the oils from your hair. That's why you don't want to do shampooing more than once a week, because it's going to end up making your hair extremely dry. So once a week is good for shampooing. Again, unless you're an active person and you run a lot or you play sports, you might want to wash it maybe twice in the week, because you're going to have all that oil buildup on your scalp. When it comes to conditioning, you must always, always, always condition your hair after shampoo. I beg of you, because a lot of people say they don't need it. It makes their hair heavy, it weighs their hair down. Then just use a smaller amount, or use a lighter conditioner. But conditioning, it helps to restore your hair after you've removed all of those oils and products that you had in your hair. The shampoo is going to strip your hair of all of that. You need the conditioning to just kind of smooth it out again and give it that nice body and the shine that it's going to get. If you don't condition, that's where you start to get that dry feeling, and then it gets really frizzy, and I'm sure nobody really wants that. It's very difficult to deal with your hair. Okay, so shampooing and oiling your hair actually tie in together. I always tell my clients, after you shampoo your hair and then you condition it, before you oil it. Also, when you're conditioning your hair, that's the best time to detangle your hair. It's smooth, it's wet. Use a nice wide tooth comb and go through your hair with it, section by section, of course. So oiling, when it's time to oil your hair, a lot of people don't understand what the oils do. Oil is considered a sealant. So whatever you put the oil on, it's going to seal whatever's on your hair in your hair. So for example, if you decide you want to oil your scalp and your hair is dry, you're sealing in dryness into your hair, into your hair cuticles. And that's what makes your hair continuously dry. If I'll give you another example. I've done this as a kid. I'm sure other people have done it too. When you forget to lotion your legs and your mom is like, go lotion your legs. You see some baby oil, you rub it on your legs. First of all, I used to do that and it didn't do anything for me. It just made my legs shiny. But that's what oil does. It's not going to moisturize the area that you're oiling if it's dry. It's just going to make it shiny. It's not going to do anything. You're sealing in dryness. Whereas when you're putting oil on your hair and scalp, when your hair is freshly washed and it's damp, you're sealing in that moisture from the water and conditioner into your hair rather than sealing in dryness into your hair. So oiling is important. Again, if you're someone that has fine hair, use a little bit of oil because it will definitely weigh your hair down. But again, do not oil on dry hair or dry scalp. It will be a problem. If you have your hair in braids or twists and obviously your hair is dry, the best thing to do is, I also recommend this to my clients, is to have a small spray bottle with water, conditioner, and spray your hair. Just make it a little damp and then oil, because at least that way you're putting the moisture back into your hair. Okay, and protective styling. So protective styling, there's so many ways you can have a protective styling on your hair. As you can see in the demonstration here, there's braids, twists, and bantu knots. Those are actually my favorite. My favorite is braids when I had hair. My favorite is braids. Twisting, if you like to do what they call a twist out, it's perfect, because after you're done shampooing your hair, you condition your hair, you oil your scalp, and you twist your hair down and you let it dry for maybe 2 to 3 days. That's more ideal, because after a day, let's be real, if your hair is really thick, it's not going to be 100% dry after that one day. Some people are lucky and their hair does dry 100%, but 2 to 3 days is best for a twist out after you're twisting it down. So protective styling is done to protect the hair. In the cold weather is when I mostly get a lot of people that want braids, because the cold is very harsh on your hair. It tends to dry it out more. Your hair breaks because it's too cold. So when you put protective styling in your hair, like braids or twists or a bantu knot, you're protecting the ends of your hair, and it allows your hair to have the time it needs to actually grow out without being disturbed. So I always recommend protective styling, and once in a while, it's okay to leave your hair out. But what I do tell my clients that is not a good thing to do is, if you're going to protective style with extensions, which is completely fine, it's not something that you should be doing back to back. Because if you're going to have single braids in, and then after a couple months you take it out, and you're going to do cornrows, and then after a couple weeks you take it out and you're going to go back to single braids, eventually your hair is going to get a little bit weaker around your edge area because it's too much tension. So the best thing to do, if you're okay with back-to-back braiding, that's fine, but I don't recommend it with extensions. I would try it with my natural hair or with your natural hair. And I do understand that some people don't like the length of their natural hair, but if you want to see growth in your hair, then once in a while it's okay to do a protective style with your natural hair.
So Brigitte, just a question.
Yes.
So when you're talking about protective styling here, so even the braids, you're talking about just braiding our natural hair just with our hair itself, no extensions?
No extensions.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Extensions do help the hair as well too, but again, like they're fine. You can do extensions, but it does create tension if it's being done too often on your hair. So once in a while, it's fine to do extensions, but I recommend your natural hair being braided. It's a lot easier on your scalp. All right, so.
Sorry, Brigitte, I have another question from Courtney.
Yes, of course.
Courtney, did you wanna?
Oh, I was just wondering on the oil slide, you mentioned the oils, but I was wondering what type of oils should we use? Is there
Okay, so I am going to talk about that a little bit later, but everybody has a preference. Like some people like coconut oil, but then I also have a lot of my clients that tell me that coconut oil actually creates quite a bit of buildup in their hair.
Yes, exactly.
So I don't know how to say it. I know how to say it, but people say it wrong. It's jojoba oil, but they call it jojoba.
Oh, that's what I mentioned. No, cool.
It's jojoba oil, and that works great as well.
Okay.
Almond oil works well as well. Carrot oil works great. Extra virgin olive oil works great. I feel like there's one more I'm forgetting. But those are the main ones. If I remember, I'll remember to mention that.
Awesome.
Okay, so jumping right back in, this is a quick tip for you guys, just something to keep in mind. You are what you eat. I'm sure everybody's heard that terminology before. And it's actually a very true fact, because, I mean, I'm not going to go into health because I'm not a health person, but what you eat, your body takes what it needs from whatever foods and drinks that you're consuming. Your hair does the same thing. So your hair will actually pull what it needs from whatever you're eating. And if it needs it, it's going to take it. So I tell my clients, like, drinking water actually helps with your hair. It's going to help to hydrate your hair from the inside. I like to think of my hair as a plant. Like, I'm the base and it's my plant. So water yourself. You need water in order for in order for your hair to be shiny, healthy, and to grow properly. And it's also what you put on top of your hair as well too. But we're going to talk about that a little bit more into the presentation. So mind what you guys eat. It's important. So protective styling part 2. Now this is more going into when you guys are going to sleep at night, are you protecting your hair? When I had hair, I would always tie my hair down with a silk scarf. I will admit I'm a little bit guilty. I do go to bed without anything on my head now because I don't have hair. But when you're going to sleep, it's important to sleep on a silk or satin pillowcase, or even have a bonnet like this young, beautiful Black lady has in the picture, or a scarf that's silk or satin. So the benefits of the silk or satin, it helps to keep the moisture in your hair when you've done all that shampooing, conditioning, oiling, and deep conditioning. That's what the silk and satin is for. It helps to keep the moisture in your hair. Now, I'm not sure if you've noticed, but I've done this before when I was a kid, and it made me quickly realize that I need something satin or silk. But I've gone to bed when my hair was longer without a silk or satin. And when you wake up, you have like bedhead. Like, it looks matted, it looks terrible, and it looks dry. So again, that's what the bonnet, the silk or satin scarf is for. Or again, a pillowcase. Pillowcases actually help more with kids because they don't keep it on their head. They actually tend to roll off and everything. So a silk or satin pillowcase will help if you cannot keep a bonnet or a do-rag or a scarf on your head. But it does help to keep your hair nice and healthy as you sleep. So when you wake up in the morning, there's not much you need to do with your hair, but just maybe put it into the style that you want or comb it in a certain direction. And I'm sure you don't want a bed head like I had, because it was terrible. Okay, so now we're going to get into porosity. So there's 3 types of porosity, and you can even try this test at home yourself to see the type of porosity you have in your hair. There's high porosity, normal porosity, and low porosity. So in this little chart here, it shows you that the high porosity, the hair has gone all the way down to the bottom of the glass. And then the normal porosity is floating right in the middle, and then the low porosity is at the top. So high porosity is when you have pretty much holes in your hair. So anything, any type of liquid, any type of product just goes right through. It doesn't even stay in your hair, it goes right through. So again, like I said, it has gaps and it has holes in the cuticle layer. The moisture passes quickly in and out of the hair. And that's what causes your hair to be frizzy, and it tangles very easily in the humid weather, and it dries very easily in the dry weather. So your hair pretty much grabs onto whatever weather it's in. If it's humid, you're gonna get very tangly hair. If it's dry, your hair's gonna be dry. So what you can do if you have high porosity hair is you could use shea butter, raw shea butter, coconut oil, extra virgin olive oil, palm oil to seal your cuticles, and especially when it's humid, to prevent them from absorbing too much moisture. Or you could use, you could use leave-in conditioners and moisturizers that will help your hair with moisture throughout the day, but use a sealant. If you remember when I said about the oil, it's a sealant. So with high porosity, this is where you want to use a moisturizer and then also use an oil to seal that moisture into your hair, because with high porosity, it's going to go right through when you're trying to stop that. So going back now to the normal porosity hair, which is considered medium porosity, it has a looser cuticle layer. So the moisture goes in and out of the hair very easily. It flows through nicely. You don't have much problems with it. And when you have medium porosity hair, when you're going to do a color, any type of chemical service on your hair grabs onto it very easily. It's very well done. You're not going to have any issues with it. The color takes well, like everything done in one shot. It's great. The only thing that's a little bit sucky about medium porosity hair is that you have to be careful, because you can go from medium to high porosity if you over chemicalize your hair. So that's what happens when your hair burns, if you're relaxing it, or if you're putting a color in it and you just constantly keep bleaching your hair or putting color on it. That's when it changes. And now talking about low porosity hair, it's moisture resistant. If any of you guys, actually the last client I just had low porosity, and I was just talking to them about it. And low porosity hair is when any type of moisturizer that you've used or even water, it just sits right on top of your hair. Like it rolls off, it doesn't do anything, your hair still feels dry. And it's just frustrating because any moisturizer you use doesn't work on your hair. So once the low porosity hair finally gets moisture inside, you don't need to worry about it slipping out or anything. You're okay. It'll lock in the moisture. It's just getting it in. That's the problem. What can be done for low porosity hair is using a protein-free daily conditioner with products that attract moisture like honey or glycerin. And use a moisture-rich product such as jojoba oil, or shea butter, coconut oil, or mineral oil. And use a lighter or liquid-based products that will help avoid product buildup, because low porosity hair is very quick to get product buildup on your hair, so you want to avoid that. Okay, so that's about porosity. Once you know your hair porosity, then you can figure out what products work best for your hair, because then you'll know, okay, I can't use this because my hair is going to grab onto it, or I have to use this because my hair won't grab onto it. So now you'll get a little bit of an idea of what to do with your hair when it comes to products. So moving to product knowledge and use. So it's a little bit difficult to tell people what they should be using for their hair, because again, like I said, it's everybody's hair is different. So it's where you're gonna have to try a few products to see what works well for your hair and what doesn't work for your hair. Knowing your hair type is definitely easy, because once you know your hair type, then you know exactly what you need to get for your hair. And I always tell people it's important, don't just go grab something because your hairstylist or your mom, your auntie, or someone told you this is what worked for me, this is what you should use, because you have different hair. So read the back of every product that you decide to pick up and make sure you're reading the ingredients. You want to make sure it doesn't have something that's too much alcohol in it, because alcohol is definitely going to dry your hair. You want to make sure that the products that are on there are agreeing with your hair type. So again, if you have high porosity, low porosity, or medium porosity, you want to make sure that the ingredients on there are going to agree with whatever porosity hair you have. Moisture is key to growing your hair or to having a healthy hair, because when your hair is moisturized, it's not going to snap so easily and break off. It's going to give it that time to just be the way it needs to be so your hair can grow. So moisturize, moisturize, moisturize. It's extremely important, and find what works best for your porosity hair in order to keep the moisture in your hair. My top product brands to try, I haven't tried all of these, but these are products that I do know work well, from family members to clients. And yes, some of them I have tried on myself. I'm not sure if you guys have heard of any of these, but Miele Organics is really great. They have, a lot of these products do have separate lines within their brand. So again, if one is not working for you, just try and see if there's another line under that brand that might work for you. If not, then scratch the whole brand and go to another one. Camille Rose is really good. It can be found, all of these brands can actually be found at BSW, Chloré, the Beauty Supply Store, and Hair Granted. That's the only hair stores I can think of. But yes, so there's Camille Rose, Shea Moisture. Shea Moisture, I have a love-hate relationship with Shea Moisture. Again, they have different lines within their brand. And their original one, where it's more of a peachy color, I'm sure you guys have seen it. It smells amazing, but I find that it doesn't do well for tightly curled, coarse hair. So it's a line, again, that you have to play around with and figure out which one you like, because they do have multiple lines under their brand. And there's TGIN, or you can call it Tegan. It stands for Thank God It's Natural. And their brand is actually amazing. I love it. I love their hair mask. It smooths the hair amazingly. And again, they also have a bunch of lines that are under that line. And Design Essentials is actually the brand that we worked with when I went to hair school in Marca College. And it was great. I love their relaxer system. It's probably one of the relaxer systems that I would probably rate between 1 and 5. It's pretty good. It's mild, and they have everything you need. They even have a line in theirs for silk press. So if you want a silk press, they have they have separate conditioner, they have a separate shampoo, and a separate what do you call those things? Serum. Sorry, they have a separate serum for it. So if you want to silk press your hair, Design Essentials has a good line just for silk pressing. And then you have the Pantene Gold series. They're actually really good. Like, their stuff smells good and it works well on kinky hair, loose curled hair. So try it out. And pattern.
Bridget, not
Yeah.
to interrupt you. If the girls they're on a budget,
Yeah.
so is there anything you can suggest to them that's cost effective? A little bit more, so if they
Yes.
can't, that would be, I think, helpful for them.
Okay, so the one I would say that there's a few that are I would say are
Budget friendly.
yes. So Pattern is one of them. I'm not sure if you guys have heard of it. It's actually new. It's from Tracy Ellis Ross. She came out with she came out with it not too long ago. And the good thing about Pattern is, because she understands the big curly fro problem, she actually gives you quite a bit in a tub, because she wants you to benefit from buying her products. The price is amazing, and you get a lot for your money. So it's not like where you get a small little tube and you pay like $30 for it. You're gonna get a good amount. And Pattern can be found at Sephora, and I believe Amazon carries some of them, but I know for sure Sephora carries Pattern.
Okay.
And then you have Kinky Curly. They have other lines, and Alikay Natural. So Pattern, I would say, is the more affordable one. Tegan is not too bad as well. And Pantene Gold Series 2 is not so bad on the price. Everything else, they can be a little bit pricey, but if you're willing not to gamble with your hair, then I'd say try them and see what works best for you. So the opportunities I was talking about, yay. So it's Limitless is looking for an assistant. If anyone is interested in learning more about hair, then I am definitely looking for an assistant. And I also teach braiding classes that they're in 3 subjects. I do the basic braiding, so it starts off from the very beginning. And then I have an advanced class, and then I also have a designs class. And the designs class is more of, you can take a look at my Instagram. I do a lot of design braids, so that's what the designs class is for. If you're interested, you can check me out on Facebook, on Instagram, or you can get in touch with me at my email address, which would be the next slide. Right there, yeah. So it's limitlesshair.salon@gmail.com. And my website is also there. You can take a look on my website. You can book with me if you want to. And I'm open for questions. Thank you for listening.
Bridget, one question.
Yes.
One oil that you didn't mention, which is very, very old school, even when I was a little girl, is castor oil. How do you feel about it?
Yes, I should have actually said that. I do like castor oil. I find that the Jamaican black castor oil, I love it on the edges a lot. I have a lot of girls that come to me with problems with their edges, and I always recommend Jamaican black castor oil, because it's a thick oil, but it works really well. The smell might not be the greatest, but it does do what it's said to do. It works. So I do recommend castor oil if you find out your hair is thinning a little bit. And it still works even if you have thick hair, but castor oil is great. It's good.
Okay, great. Thank you.
No problem.
Anyone else with questions?
I have a question.
Go ahead, Courtney.
You know when you use like the gel and it creates that flakiness in your hair, would you say, because you mentioned not washing your hair too often, right? So
Yeah.
I usually get rid of that flakiness by washing my hair. So how could I like not wash it but still get rid of that flakiness?
So, okay, how often do you wash your hair a week?
Every night.
Or did you say every night?
Yeah.
Okay, so that, to be honest, you could be causing your own flakes.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so I would give yourself, I would tell people to give themselves a good amount of time. I'd give yourself about a month. So switch over to maybe 2 times a week, because I know every night to once a week is going to be a big change for you.
Yeah.
So switch over and then see if your flakes are starting to diminish. But you also have to remember that if you're washing your hair but not conditioning and also not oiling, that's also a contribution to your flakes. So you have to make sure you're conditioning your hair, not your scalp. Don't condition your scalp, condition your hair. And when you're done, oil your scalp.
Okay. The jojoba oil. I've been using jojoba oil recently.
Jojoba oil is great. You could use that as well too.
Okay, lovely. Thank you.
No problem.
Anyone else?
So, Alyssa, I want to say that because Brigitte is also my hairstylist and my husband's.
Yeah.
My husband has locks, by the way. But one gel in regards to what Courtney said that Brigitte suggested that works amazingly with no flakes is, Brigitte, is it the Eco Style gel? Is it that green one? That's
That one, yeah.
that one, is that what you use? Because I get no flakes and I only wash my hair every other week because of the dryness. So
Eco Styling gel, because there's so many different kinds of that
one with the olive oil, I think.
Yes, that one doesn't, it actually, the green Eco Styling gel doesn't leave flakes. That's actually one of my favorite ones. So you could try that as well if you're going to put gel in your hair. They have the red Eco Styling one. It doesn't create flakes either, but it's not a strong hold. So if your hair is not, if your hair is more of the finer, thinner side, then I would say you could use the red one. It doesn't create flakes. It's actually it's argan oil. And someone said flaxseed. Yes. Flaxseed is very good. It's good for the ends of your hair. It helps to strengthen the end of your hair. So it prevents breakage. So, yeah.
And what are some tips that you have for just maintaining our hair when we have it in mini braids without extensions?
Oh, without extensions. So like tips for cleaning or
just day to day and cleaning as well. Yeah, some.
So you can definitely wash your hair with braids in your hair. I recommend it because you don't want to be going X amount of time without washing your hair. It's pretty much the same care as what I said before. So if you're going to have your hair in its natural state, but in braids, wash it, condition it, and make sure you oil your scalp. If anything, it's easier to oil your scalp because it's already parted for you in braids. Right. And then tie your hair at nighttime with a silk scarf, a bonnet, just to keep your hair from losing all of that moisture that you just put into it. So it's pretty much the same. Yeah.
So you said oil the scalp. So would you recommend that, especially I know when it's in mini braids, like there can be a lot of product buildup. Would you recommend that we oil the entire hair or just the scalp? Just the scalp.
Okay. Just the scalp, because you want to avoid creating so much buildup while your hair is already in a protective state. Once you take your braids out, then you can comb through it and then add its moisturizer on top of that. But I wouldn't do too much of that while it's in a braid or in a twist because you're going to create too much buildup.
Okay. Thank you.
No problem.
I have a question. So I've always been told that when you wash your hair, you have to start off with like hot water to open up the pores, and then close the pores with like cold water. Is that true?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
So when you're going to shampoo your hair, it's best to use warm water because it helps to pick up the buildup that's on your hair, lift it off your hair and your scalp. Now, nobody likes to do it, but rinsing your hair with cold water is very good for your hair. But no, I know nobody likes to do it because it's cold, but so that's why it's best to do it if you're at the salon because it's only your head that's going to get cold. Where if you're in the shower, you have to suck it up, go under there quickly with that cold water and come out. But it does help to, when you rinse your hair with cold water, it actually closes your hair cuticle. It keeps it nice and shiny and it's strong. Where when you're using warm water or hot water, after you condition your hair and use hot water, you're just taking everything right back out of your hair that you just put in with the conditioner. So that defeats the whole purpose of using a conditioner. So you need the cold water to seal your end so the conditioner remains or does its job that it's supposed to do in your hair.
Okay. With
So
that
Bridget,
said,
do you mean, sorry,
sorry.
Alyssa.
So would it be better to like oil your hair on the scalp when the hair cuticles are still open then, before you wash it off with cold water?
No, not really.
Okay.
It's best to, okay, so for the cold water, that's meant for the conditioner. After you're done conditioning your hair and you come out the shower, you come out from the salon or whatever, you can still oil your hair and will still do the benefits that it needs to do.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's still okay.
All right. Okay.
Bridget, I want to ask a question about that because do you do the same thing when you color hair? Are you supposed to wash it out with cool water?
So with color, that's a little bit tricky because also too, it depends on what color you have. So warm water does help to take the color out of your hair faster because it opens up your hair cuticles and the color that's in there is going to come right out. So for example, my hair is red right now. So if I was to go under warm water, my hair is going to bleed a lot. But if I'm to wash my hair with cold water, the bleeding would stop because it closes that cuticle. So depending on your hair color, if you have something that's very potent, like red, orange, blue, purple, it's best to wash your or shampoo your hair with lukewarm water and then rinse it with cold water.
Lukewarm water, rinse with
Yeah.
cool.
Cassie has a question. She said, what order of products do you recommend? I've heard of the LOC method, but I'm not sure.
Oh yes, that's the LOC is oiling. What is it again? The lock method. I do remember what that is.
Liquid oil condition.
Yes. So I did find that some people do it in whatever order works for them, to be honest. And I think it's best to obviously have your hair damp, then oil, then moisturize. That's the order I would recommend. But some people like to do it any other way. I still think that if you need to oil your hair on your hair being damp or wet. So that's the main important thing. So if you choose to do moisturizing before you oil your hair, that's fine, as long as your hair is still damp after you've had it conditioned or washed to oil your hair.
Anyone else? Questions?
Oh, so it's all different from moisturizing?
Yes, it is.
Oh,
so again, like I said before, oil is considered a sealant. So the oil will help the moisturizer. Sorry? Oh, sorry. Okay, so the oil will help the moisturizer do its job. So if you're gonna, again, for high porosity hair, where you want to keep the moisture in your hair, it's best to do the moisturizer first and then your oil after, because you want to seal the moisture into your hair. That's for high porosity hair, because again, there's gaps and there's holes in your cuticle and you're trying to lock in that moisture. Any other type of porosity, it doesn't have to be the same order as the high porosity order.
Oh, okay. So is the moisturizer like a cream? Is that like a cream?
Yeah, so moisturizer, you can use like my mom used to use raw shea butter on my hair as a moisturizer. So it could be a shea butter cream, or even when you go to the hair store, it tells you which one's moisturizers. It's mostly into a cream form.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
So just to clarify, Brigitte, so the high porosity hair is the one that's kind of more challenging to lock in moisture?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, because there's so many gaps and holes in there. It's just, everything's just going right through.
Okay.
Yeah. Any other questions? I'm here.
Any other?
I was thinking maybe Bridget can elaborate a little bit more in regards to the assistant she's looking for. Bridget, would they become like an apprentice for you?
Yes. So I'm looking for the assistant. I'm looking for somebody that's willing to, you don't have to know how to braid, but that's willing to learn how to braid. And I'm looking for them that's, you're going to get comfortable learning how to shampoo other people's hair, because that's like the main thing I do need help with is the shampooing. and blowing out. But I would teach you the basics, so you wouldn't be completely lost if you're going to feel uncomfortable. I'll make sure that I'm with you every step of the way, and I'll be with you until you're comfortable enough to blow dry and wash on your own. But I do need help with washing and braiding down the ends of long braids.
Yeah.
So Cassie has a question. She said, is it possible to have a mix of porosities?
Is it possible to have a mix of porosities?
Yeah.
No, because your hair is either one or it's the other. And because you can't really have high porosity and then low porosity hair. It contradicts. It's one, the stuff goes right through, the other one doesn't go through at all. Right. So it's either you have either or. And I forgot to mention, for porosity hair, it's not something that you can change because it's genetic. However, you can definitely go to a high porosity hair from medium, because you're putting too much chemicals on your hair. But once you stop doing that and you cut off those dead ends, your normal hair will grow back and you won't have high porosity. You'll go back to medium.
Okay. And Shavisha said, would aloe be a moisturizer?
Yes. Aloe vera is very great for your hair. So if you have it, use it. Slap it on your hair if you have to. It's great. And it's good for your skin as well, too.
Okay. And how often do you recommend that we wash our hair, Brigitte? Because, that's always been a topic.
Yeah. So washing your hair, I say once a week is ideal for your scalp. But again, I always like to ask people, like, what do you do? Do you work out? Do you play sports? Do you work out and play sports? So if you're an active person like that, twice a week is okay. But anything more than that, you're taking too much oils and nutrients out of your hair.
And if they have locks, because I know, like, you started my husband's locks. So.
Yeah. So if you have locks, washing your hair once every 2 weeks is good. But again, goes back to if you're somebody that's active. If you're active, you might want to start washing. If you have locks, you might want to wash your hair once a week.
Okay.
Because the locks, when you wash your hair with locks, you're not supposed to put conditioner in the hair because it creates buildup in locks. So if you continuously keep washing it, you're just drying out your hair more and more and more. So it's best if you wait 2 weeks and then wash your hair. But if you're active, once a week is okay.
Okay. Yeah. Thanks.
Anyone else? I have a question for me, because I have really weird hair. I know it's different, but it's really weird. Like I have really dry scalp, but my hair on the top is oily. I don't know what that is.
Okay, so there is certain, like, there's different types of scalp issues, and I wish I could go into them with you guys right now, but it's a lot of information. But it does. Are you putting conditioner on your scalp when you condition? Okay, and you put it on just the ends of your hair.
Yeah.
Okay. What shampoo are you using on your hair? If you don't
Monet.
Monet. Is that the one that's yellow, black, blue? And...
No, it's like a blue and white one. It's an organic. It's organic.
I think I know what you're talking about. You might have to switch your shampoo if that's what's happening to your hair. So try switching your shampoo and your conditioner and see if it makes a change. Yeah. If not, is it creating flakes or is it just dry?
Yeah, it's creating flakes.
Okay.
But I've switched to this shampoo because they said like it would help get rid of like the oiliness.
Yeah.
And it did, like, for a bit, because before I started using it, I would wash my hair, and as soon as my hair dries, it's flaky, and I'm like, it's disgusting. It looks disgusting. So then I end up like washing my hair again the following day type of thing. And then I know that was like drying my scalp.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
Okay. So your hair, I do know that if your hair is getting oily pretty much after a day, it could also be your conditioner. It could be the conditioner or mask that you're using. It could be too heavy for your hair. Okay. So you might have to switch that as well too. And how often do you wash your hair a week, would you say?
2 to 3 times.
Okay, that's a bit excessive.
Okay.
Yeah. So so if you're having that problem, I do think it's your conditioner if your hair is becoming oily, but your scalp is dry.
Yeah.
I would try switching your conditioner and see if that helps with the oiliness on your hair.
Okay. Cassie has a question. She said,
Yes.
I have a question for my friend. She has a sensitive hair and cannot put extensions. So what can she do?
Just don't use the extensions. Yeah, because no, it's honestly because if is her hair sensitive or her scalp? If her scalp is sensitive, then the best thing for her to do is just keep doing whatever protective style she's doing with her natural hair. Someone said you could use yarn. Yeah, some people do use yarn. But again, if your scalp is sensitive, then you're still gonna have the same kind of pain pretty much. So I would just stay away from extensions. I know my parents are from West Africa, and my mom used to use yarn on our hair all the time, and it does help. But again, I'm not sure if you're saying if your hair is sensitive or if your scalp is sensitive. If your hair is sensitive, you need to analyze what you're doing to your hair and figure out if it's fine hair, low or high porosity hair, to figure out why it's so sensitive. And then you can pretty much go off of that to see what's going on with your hair.
Okay. Thank you. Courtney raised his hand. Courtney?
Last question, I promise. You know when you wake up and your hair is dry?
Yes.
I know it's recommended that you like wet it, and then like that's when should I add like the oils and moisturizer then?
Yeah, if you're gonna, so I don't recommend oiling your scalp every day. So if you're waking up and your hair is dry, is your hair dry because you're not covering your head before bed?
I just bought a do-rag, so I'm guessing it's still happening, so I'm not sure.
So if your hair is dry, I do recommend that you get like a small little bottle. You can find them at the dollar store or even the grocery store, and you put some conditioner and water in the bottle, mix it, shake it up, and spray your hair. That helps to hydrate your hair instead of you having to go into the shower and wetting up your whole hair. Just mix water, conditioner, and you can add some oils in the bottle of water, shake it up, and spray your hair with it.
Awesome. Okay. Thank you.
Isato said, I've had itchy hair for a while. What do I do?
Itchy hair. How often are you shampooing your hair? And if you're shampooing, are you oiling your scalp? And if you're not oiling your scalp, that causes itchiness because it's too dry. Or some people, when they have too much buildup on their scalp, another way you can take off the buildup is by using apple cider vinegar. So it depends. I need to know I need to know your hair routine so I can give you a proper answer. But again, if it's too much buildup, try using apple cider vinegar and lemon to detox your hair. See if that's going to help with the itchiness. But if you're not oiling or moisturizing your hair, that could be contributing to your itchy scalp.
So the vinegar is not good.
Sorry?
Sometimes I put vinegar.
Apple cider vinegar?
Yes, no, not apple cider, but just the vinegar.
No, apple cider vinegar is recommended for the hair.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anyone else? Anyone else? No? Going once, going twice. Cassie said, do you recommend the apple cider vinegar clay mask? I forgot the name.
I've heard of the clay mask, but to be honest, I didn't even know they had one that was mixed with apple cider vinegar. I would try it and see how that works for your hair. But apple cider vinegar is good to detox your hair and your scalp. And the clay mask has great benefits for your hair as well too. Bentonite. Is that the name of the?
Just curious if that's what she's talking about, because I know usually you mix that with apple cider vinegar.
Yeah.
And people use it on the hair.
I personally, I've never done it, but I've heard good benefits from it. So I would try it and see how that works for your hair. I don't want to give you an advice on something I've never done. So it doesn't hurt to try and see how it works on your hair.
Well, anyone else? Any follow-up questions? No? Well, okay. How do I sign up for the apprenticeship?
You can send me a quick email. My email address has been provided. So you can send me an email with your contact information and we can go from there. We can talk about it through there.
All right. If you missed her email, please message me. I'll send it to you tomorrow. So yeah. Thank you guys so much for taking your time to spend today with us. Thank you so much, Ms. Brigitte, for such an educational workshop. We really
Yes,
appreciate
thank
your
you, Bridget.
time.
Thank you. Thank you guys for listening.
Thank you, Bridget.
I have a little survey I need you guys to do. I'll send you guys that tomorrow if that's okay. All right.
Good.
Okay. Thank you guys so
Yeah,
much.
great job,
Bridget.
Bridget. I really appreciate it. Very
You're
informative.
welcome.
Appreciate
Have a
it.
good night, everyone.
Thank you
Thank
guys.
you.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.